Good morning guys, today we're talking about 90mm lenses for Leica cameras. We'll then look at two lenses in particular and I'll show you some POV street photography and portraits using 90mm lenses. First of all, I wanted to show you a few different lens options if you're on the market to get a 90mm lens for your Leica camera. We've got the 90mm Leica Summicron pre-spherical. It's a bit of a beast with lens hood. Pretty heavy but amazing lens for portraits. Next, this is a little autofocus lens from Sigma, 90mm 2.8. I will do a full video on this lens, so feel free to subscribe if you want to see this at a later date. Next we have the Voigtlander APO-Skopar 90 2.8 SL2S, which is Nikon F mount. And next to this we have the Voigtlander APO-Skopar 90mm f2.8 VM mount, which is Leica M mount. Next we have a Leica R lens, the Almarit R, again 90 2.8. And finally, to finish, the little Leica screw mount 9cm or 90mm f4 Elmar. Hey guys, Matt here from MrLeica.com. The two lenses we're going to be looking at in particular today are the Voigtlander APO-Skopar and the Voigtlander APO-Skopar. If you've seen this lens before, you may think it looks a little bit different or a little bit bigger, and that's because I've got it mounted on a Nikon F to Leica adapter. With the adapter removed, as you can see, it's a really nice compact size. This is the Leica M mount version. So the question you may now have is, why do I own two APO-Skopar lenses from Voigtlander? If you're pure Leica, I would say get this one. If you're film Nikon, digital Nikon, and perhaps Leica as well, get this one. Now there are some variations, but there are a lot of similarities. I've done side-by-side testing. I can bring up some example photos. These optics are identical, shot on the Leica SL, both close-up, as you can see here, and at infinity. I literally cannot tell the difference between the photos taken with both of these lenses. In terms of the size, as you can see, once you mount it on a Leica M camera, the height is pretty similar. If I bring some stats, the VM version weighs 250 grams or 8.8 ounces versus 260 grams, which is 9.2 ounces. So basically the same weight. The Leica lens has a 39mm filter thread, whereas the Nikon mount version has a 52mm filter thread. No hood is included with the Nikon version, but the hood is included with the Leica version. In terms of lens optics, 7 elements in 7 groups on both lenses. Although the Leica lens has 10 blades, the Nikon lens has 9 blades. You might think it's a benefit of buying an SLR style lens because you can focus closer compared to a rangefinder lens, but actually both lenses have a minimum focus distance of 90 centimeters or 0.9 meters, so identical. More important than the stats is what can you do with these lenses. Let's take a look at some example photos of both street photography and portraits. Starting off in Budapest, where I was shooting my Nikon F2 film camera and the Nikon F mount 90 f2 APO. I found this lens really good for compression, as you can see in these bridge shots. And then I just went a bit further down the walkway to get more bridge shots. It was really misty on one of the mornings, so it worked really well for photos to get even more depth. I'm also a massive tram geek, so I love photographing trams in Budapest, so the compression again really helped. Because it's a lightish camera and a light lens, I was even able to run with it, so I had the camera and lens in the back of my running vest, and then that allows me to cover more ground, and every morning I was out taking pictures on the 3 days I was there. I'm just going to show you here my setup for some of the bridge shots. So I lined myself up exactly opposite the bridge, and then waited for either people to cross or the trams to come forward, and yeah, tried off angle as well. Next stop, Alicante in Spain. So this time I'm using the digital Leica M240 with the VM mount version, which at the time I was testing, and then after this trip I bought the lens, so I now own this lens. So I was walking around basically looking for things to photograph. It was just nice to have some sunshine after the grey and cold days in the UK. This was shot in, I think, January it was, and I'd noticed this bike on a morning walk trying to find some food, and so I went back and I'd shot it with a 50 in the morning, and now with the 90 it gave me the compression that I was looking for to get the compressed look of the street and still the bike in the foreground. So I thought it was a pretty cool bike, so I shot that on film and digital, but this is obviously just the digital. And yeah, I was just basically walking around to see what I could find. As you can see, I'm shooting the camera not on my eye with the rangefinder, but more using the EVF, more using live view. The idea was so you guys could see what I was doing with the camera. Normally when I shoot portraits I have the camera to my face, but yeah, I didn't mind shooting it's like an iPhone almost. using the live view, it does work. Again, more compression like street shots. This bike came past, so I thought I'd try and get them as the foreground element, and then they spotted me in the mirror. I really like the look of this sports thing, whatever it is, like playgrounds behind. I was just trying to visualise it with a model. I thought this would be absolutely amazing to bring a model to. So next time I'm in Alicante, I'm going to try and bring a model there and do some portrait stuff. But for this day, it was only street photography, so I continued my exploring of the city. The bottle banks, a lot of them have got art on them, or they've been graffitied, whatever you want to call it. So each one had a pretty cool like face, something a bit like this. So I was using that as my subject. And then, because obviously it's warm weather, everyone hangs their washing outside to dry. So I don't know if it's just me, or do all street photographers like photographing washing hanging outside buildings. I find I tend to do it when I see it. Again, more narrow street compression shots. So I was trying to time people, as you can see there, going across the pedestrian crossing. And as you can see, with me holding the camera, I was trying to tilt the camera to get the height. So I was using the stripes of the near pedestrian as like my foreground element. Next, we had like another touristy spot with these like mushroom statue things. I was trying to shoot again down the street for more compression and to get like as many mushrooms in the photograph as possible. And for this one, I wanted to use the near mushroom as my framing, as like the foreground element, and then see down the street kind of past it to give like more depth. So that was the idea with this shot. And as you can see, I was shooting some colour just because, well, they were red mushrooms. I felt I had to. This is another really popular street in Alicante. There was an artist on the front, so first he was an easy shot to get. I used to paint, so it's always nice to appreciate fellow artists. And then as I walked with, there's these two guys. My idea was to frame them as my foreground and then shoot between them to get like the distance in the background. Sadly, they were so drunk, they're wobbling all over the place, so it didn't really work out. But that was the idea, have them as like a dark corner on the left and right of the frame, and then shoot down the walkway. I did do this later in the day, and you can see that here, shooting between these two ladies. Further down the path or the walkway, and I saw these amazing older people dressed in like a period clothes. There's two men, two women, and like two couples, and their clothes are just amazing. There's one lady in a dress, I don't know if you can see her, she was absolutely stunning. I was trying to get a photo of her, but every time I like took a shot, someone else stuck their head in the way, so I didn't really get a clean shot, but really liked their look. That was me shooting into the sun just to get some backlight. And now this is me going down towards the marina and shooting back up at the castle. Soon after this I run up to the castle, but at the moment I was trying to make use of the amazing backlight because you got really nice contrast in the scene, and with the 90mm lens it made everything really pop from the high resolution. I think I did use the 35mm lens as well, because as you can see the 90 can be a bit too tight for some scenes. So yeah, I shot it on the 35 1.5 Nocturne that I just reviewed, as well as the 90. This is now me running up to the top of the castle for sunset. Really nice views and really nice light, as you can see, and the 90 gave me the range to photograph either individual people, as you can see here, and bringing the background closer, or shooting kind of further down, like off the wall down to the marina below. And really nice lens to kind of do a tighter crop of a wider landscape, as you can see here. That's me framing that in like a doorway. The birds on the top were amazing, but I couldn't really get it as a photograph. I just want to stop the video for a second to say a huge thanks to my awesome patrons. Patreon is my online teaching platform, and for more details I can put links to all the videos and posts below. Okay, back to the photos. Okay, next, portraits. These are also shot in Spain, but further down the coast. Where the red arrow points is where we did the next series of images. So this is a local Ukrainian model who contacted me asking for pictures. So we did a sunset shoot on the rocks, and she braved the cold and the discomfort with her bare feet on the jaggedy rocks and whatnot. But she'd never really modelled before, but she really enjoyed it and did a great job. I tried shooting with the light first, and then I tried shooting at the light, because I tend to prefer shooting at the light, as you can see here. but the background was just so messy and distracting, it wasn't really working for my OCD. So I flipped back to shooting with the light. So you'll see me come around again in a second. I was shooting stop down to maybe f4, f5.6, so she had room to move with the dress and everything. But I was missing the Leica SL so much. I still had the M240 with me, and I was doing some shots with an EVF for the previous session, and it was just so slow, it was driving me crazy. I did a big rant on Patreon about the M240 is not good enough for the EVF. But I was using the rangefinder for these shots, and I say I just stopped down and it was okay, it worked. Here's some more windy cliff-top shots, same setup, different model. Now what at price, the reason I bought the Nikon mount version first is because it's quite a bit cheaper. If you live in the US, you can buy the Nikon mount version in B&H for $599, whereas the Leica version costs $749. If you're in the UK and you buy from Robert White, the Nikon mount version costs £529, the Leica mount version costs £719. In terms of build quality, they feel fairly similar, although I'd say the Leica version is nicer dampened. This one's slightly looser. The Leica version includes a hood, this one doesn't. This one is slightly lighter than the Nikon version, and this is rangefinder coupled. I have been using the lens side by side with the vintage M. The vintage lens is slightly thinner, taller, and actually heavier too. You can notice the difference in, I would say, especially contrast with the new APO-Skopar compared to the vintage lens. But if you prefer lower contrast, you might actually prefer the vintage lens. If you're on the market for a brand new 92.8 lens for Leica, definitely consider the Sigma DG-DN lens. And to see my full video on the 90 f2 APO VM lens, watch my video when I shot in Gdansk in the snow and was so happy to have that lens hood.